Mikkel's identity. One major early fan theory centered on the disappearance of Mikkel Nielsen and his importance to the show's temporal paradox. In the first season, Mikkel vanishes from 2019 and reappears in 1986 as a young child, where he assumes the identity of Mikkel Conwald. Mikkel grows into adulthood, marries Hannah, fathers Jonas, and ultimately dies by self-inflicted death in 2019, leaving behind a letter that becomes the catalyst for Jonas's journey through time. This revelation is confirmed by the series, but the fan theories that emerged around it proposed even more complex possibilities, including the speculation that Mikkel's disappearance represented a possible starting point of the knot itself. The show's intricate structure, which repeatedly presents characters across different ages and time periods, actively encouraged this type of speculation among viewers. What makes this theory particularly significant is how it captures the series' fundamental obsession with identity, inheritance, and the terrifying concept of individuals becoming the very thing they most fear. This framework established the groundwork for countless other theories about hidden parentage, duplicate identities across timelines, and the philosophical question of whether any character in Vinden possesses genuine free will or merely follows predetermined paths. Loop iterations. A popular unconfirmed theory argues that the time loop in Dark does not repeat identically, but subtly changes with every iteration, and that the 3 seasons we see are only the final, most rigid versions of countless previous cycles. According to this idea, earlier iterations may have played out with different choices, relationships, or deaths, with each small divergence preserved inside the knot until it becomes increasingly unstable. Fans point to dialogue about things having to happen as they always have as potentially unreliable, arguing that characters like Adam and Claudia might only know the last few cycles rather than the absolute first version of events. The tunnel of light scene where characters seem to encounter themselves is sometimes read as visual evidence of layered iterations rather than a single closed loop. Because the show never definitively states whether there has been one loop or many, this theory remains an open speculation that might actually be true. Noah's role. Throughout much of the show's run, Noah remained an enigmatic presence, prompting fans to construct elaborate theories about his true identity and nature. Noah appears as a priest-like enforcer connected to Sic Mundus and deeply involved in the child abductions that form the dark heart of the story. In a 2019 interview, creator Baron Bo Odar directly addressed persistent fan questions about why Noah appears not to age normally, pointing out that the show fundamentally operates as a time travel narrative. This response reveals how intensely fans were theorizing about Noah's true nature during the series' initial run. The most compelling unproven angle was not necessarily who Noah is in the canonical sense, but whether he concealed a larger identity or origin that the show had not yet revealed. This continues to function as viable theory material because Noah's paternity, shifting loyalties, and underlying motivations are all entangled with hidden family connections. Noah became a magnet for fan theories precisely because the show deliberately portrayed him as incomplete for extended periods. He represents one of the clearest examples of Dark using strategically withheld information as its primary storytelling mechanism. Bartosz Connection. Some of the most unexpected theories attempted to solve the show's complex family tree by positioning Bartosz as the hidden linchpin of the entire narrative. Bartosz serves as Jonas's best friend in 2019 and Martha's boyfriend, placing him at the emotional center of multiple storylines. Fan theories circulated suggesting he could eventually grow into Noah, or be connected to Noah through a concealed future identity that the show was deliberately hiding, even though this was never confirmed on screen. These theories gained traction because Dark repeatedly employs actors across different age ranges, making secret parentage and future self-revelations feel not just plausible but expected. The show's family tree logic left viewers susceptible to any theory involving buried bloodlines and hidden generational connections. Bartosz's eventual adult storyline in later seasons kept the speculation alive even after the series provided answers, since some viewers still suspect there are unseen chapters in his life that the show only hints at. This theory matters because it illustrates how the series trained its audience to fundamentally distrust everyone. If a character spent sufficient time near the center of the temporal loop, fans automatically assumed they had to become someone else, somewhere else, at some other time. Claudia's plan. An enduring speculative theory suggests that Claudia Tiedemann may have lived through far more cycles than the show explicitly depicts, essentially becoming a near omniscient architect of the final outcome. In the finale, Claudia explains the existence of the origin world and appears to know exactly how to guide Jonas and Martha to break the knot, but the series never fully shows how she learned all of this. Some fans argue that Claudia must have experimented with many different strategies across countless loops, failing repeatedly until she discovered the precise sequence of actions needed to reach the origin world. Others speculate that she may have found a vantage point outside the normal flow of time that let her observe multiple timelines in parallel, turning her into the true true hidden mastermind behind every faction in Vinden. Because the show only gives fragments of Claudia's journey, this theory remains unproven, but it offers a compelling explanation for how one person could accumulate the knowledge to outmaneuver both Adam and Eva. Single loop debate. Another fan theory that might actually be true focuses on whether Dark depicts a single, unchanging loop or many evolving loops layered on top of each other. One side of the fandom argues that the story shows a single cycle that always happened exactly as we see it, with the tunnel of light moment implying that every event was already fixed and self-consistent. The opposing view claims that small discrepancies and emotional shifts hint at multiple previous cycles, with the version we watch representing only the last attempt to break the knot. This debate extends to questions about Adam and Eva themselves, with some viewers suggesting that they may remember different numbers of past cycles, which would explain their conflicting certainty about what is and is not changeable. Because the show never decisively answers whether there has been only one loop or many, the single loop versus multi-loop theory remains unresolved and open to interpretation. By the way, if you're enjoying this, I post videos like this all the time. Subscribing would really help out. The missing origin. Another theory that fans kept circling was that the number 33 was not the real key at all, but only a clue hiding a much bigger secret in Dark. Some viewers speculated that the pattern was pointing toward a missing first event, one that the show had not fully revealed yet. In other words, the 33-year cycle might have been a symptom of a deeper cause, not the cause itself. That idea made the theory feel even more unsettling, because it suggested Vinden's entire history could have been built on one buried mistake. Fans who followed this line of thinking believed the show was quietly steering toward a hidden beginning that would explain why the same tragedies kept repeating. It is the kind of theory that feels possible precisely because Dark always makes its audience suspect there is one more layer beneath everything. Chernobyl Connection. A particularly eerie theory links the events in Vinden to the real-world Chernobyl disaster, suggesting that the nuclear catastrophe in 1986 may have indirectly triggered the conditions for the knot. The show explicitly references the Chernobyl accident and sets its crucial reactor incident in the same year, which has led some fans to speculate that radioactive fallout drifting over Germany might have affected the Vinden nuclear power plant in unseen ways. According to this theory, the unusual properties of the God particle and the instability beneath the plant could be partially explained by contamination or experimental responses to the broader nuclear panic of the time. Others extend the idea further, arguing that the creators chose 1986 and the plant setting to hint that Vinden is symbolically or even causally connected to a larger global nuclear curse. The series never confirms any direct causal link between Chernobyl and Vinden's time anomalies, so this remains speculation, but it is the kind of theory that feels hauntingly plausible within the show's radioactive atmosphere. Noah's victims. One unresolved mystery in Dark is why Noah and Helga specifically target young boys in their early time machine experiments, and what deeper logic might be behind those choices. The show confirms that the bunker device is a primitive attempt to create a stable time tunnel, but it never clearly explains why every visible victim is male, or why Adam insists on this particular sequence of abductions when he already has access to other technology. Some fans theorize that the victims are chosen because of their positions in the family tree, suggesting that killing them in a controlled way helps lock certain paradoxes into place while preventing more chaotic branches from forming. Others argue that the pattern is symbolic rather than practical, portraying Noah as enacting a twisted, ritualized experiment on innocence that mirrors Vinden's generational corruption. Since neither the show nor the creators have offered a definitive explanation, the true reasoning behind Noah's choice of victims remains an unsettling, open question that fuels ongoing theories. Apocalypse loop. Some fans believe the apocalypse depicted in Dark was not the conclusion of the knot at all, but rather evidence that the loop remained fundamentally intact despite apparent resolution. Season 2 builds toward the apocalyptic event, and Season 3 continues the narrative in its aftermath and consequences. Fan discussions argued that any seemingly final reset was actually just another rotation in the same eternal cycle. This theory aligned perfectly with the show's repeated use of cause and effect loops and bootstrap paradox logic. The idea remained popular among certain viewers because the series rarely rewards expectations that time travel will behave according to clean, understandable rules. The apocalypse theory connected naturally to the broader idea that every proposed solution in Dark inevitably creates a new paradox rather than genuine resolution. This matters because it reflects the show's core atmosphere and mood, where even the literal end of the world functions as merely another mechanical step in an unstoppable machine. That represents exactly the kind of circular logic fans continuously attempted to decode and understand. Unknown identity. One of the strangest late series mysteries involves the figure called the Unknown, which pushed fans toward even more elaborate origin theories and speculative identities. The character is identified as the child of Jonas and Martha, and serves as the source of various disruptions throughout the timeline. The third season assigns the Unknown a major role as part of Erit Lux, and as a character operating across multiple ages simultaneously. Fans debated whether this this figure represented less an actual person than a symbolic expression of the knot itself made manifest, embodying the union of the two worlds, rather than a traditional character arc. Because the character appears in multiple physical forms across different time periods, theories developed around whether the show was concealing a larger generational mechanism or metaphysical principle. The unknown strengthened the interpretation that Dark was never truly about individual heroes or villains, but about lineage and inheritance becoming inescapable destiny. This proves useful as theory material because it adds tremendous conceptual scale to the narrative. By the time the show introduces the unknown, fans are no longer simply asking who is related to whom, but whether the family tree itself functions as the ultimate antagonist driving every tragedy in Vinden. Ending survival. Even after the finale aired, certain viewers argued that Dark secretly left open the possibility that the knot still existed somewhere beyond the resolution shown on screen. The final season resolves the main storyline by revealing the origin world and the devastating consequences of Tannhaus's grief-driven actions. Post-finale fan theories questioned whether the ending fully erased every temporal branch, or only eliminated the specific versions the audience had been following. That debate continued because Dark fundamentally relies on paradoxes that resist interpretation in strictly linear terms. The show's final structure naturally invites ongoing speculation about whether anything truly ended. This theory functions effectively because Dark spent 3 seasons training viewers not to trust clean endings or simple resolutions. Even when the story ostensibly closes, the underlying logic of the show continues asking whether closure itself might be just another comforting illusion within an infinite cycle. True Secret. The most philosophically ambitious theory of all proposes that Dark was never fundamentally about time travel, but about whether individuals can escape the roles their families impose upon them. The series centers on 4 deeply intertwined families: Conwald, Nielsen, Doppler, and Tiedemann. The narrative repeatedly shows children becoming parents, parents becoming victims, and victims becoming the original causes of their own suffering. Critics praised the show's extraordinary complexity, sophisticated writing, and narrative ambition, and the BBC included it in its 2021 list of the greatest television series of the 21st century. The show's relentless use of bootstrap paradoxes creates the overwhelming feeling that destiny has already been written. Fan theories survive and proliferate because the series is structurally designed to reward pattern-seeking behavior and interpretive analysis. This serves as the strongest closing perspective because it returns focus to what made the show genuinely addictive for its audience. Every answer the show provides creates a deeper, more troubling question. That fundamental characteristic explains why Dark generated such an extraordinary volume of theories and why so many of them felt simultaneously possible and terrifying. By the way, if this was worth your time, consider subscribing so you catch every new upload. Thanks for watching.